Hello, good morning. Today we are going to see software testing unit 2 session 14. In the previous topic we have studied the concept integration testing and various methods of integration testing. In today's topic we'll study integration testing as a phase of testing. Now integration testing as a phase of testing means here you're going to test all the components work together or no. That means all components are working properly or no when as a system. So all functionalities of a component and it must work together as a system. That is a integration testing as a phase of testing. And one more, when you're conducting this integration testing as a phase of testing, there are different activities involved in that and different types of testing you're going to apply and you're going to perform this integration testing as a phase of testing. So where all the components work together as a complete system, delivering system or product functionality. So in the integration testing phase, the focus is not only on whether functionality of components work, but also as they work together and deliver subsystem and system functionality. So as I told you, so all components must work together as a subsystem and also as a system together. Integration testing as a phase involves different activities and different types of testing have to be done in that phase. So this ensures the completeness of the system. Now in this we have scenario testing. So scenario testing means, see, when we are writing the test cases. So exactly on what type of test scenario we are writing the test cases. So before writing the test cases, you should understand what scenario you are going to test. So let us see the definition. Scenario testing is planned activity to explore different usage patterns and combine them into test cases. Another definition. It is defined as a set of realistic user activities that are used for evaluating the product. It is also defined as involving customer scenarios and take assistance from developers to create test scenarios. So scenario testing means exactly what you are testing, that is correct or no, that you are going to find out. So based on that test scenario, test cases are written. So it is very important to understand what scenario you are testing. So it is just a user activity to understand the product. See this for example. So test scenario is what to be tested, and test case is how to be tested. So test scenario is like exactly what you are going to test, and test case means how you are going to test it. See for example, verify the login functionality. This is our test scenario. Now based on this login functionality, how you are going to test that login functionality? These are the test cases. Test case 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now the difference between test case and test scenario is, a test case is a very detailed information, like it is in very detail what you are going to test, what steps you are going to take, what is your expected result, what your actual result, everything comes in that. Whereas you have seen in the example, test scenario is a one-line information. It shows what you are going to test exactly, like login functionality, searching, deleting. These are the example of test scenarios. It's more about documenting details, as it is like a one document, and it's more about thinking and discussing details, as it is like you understanding what exactly you are going to test and discussion on that. It is important when testing is offshore and development is on-site. It is important when time is less and most of team members agree or understand. In some cases, due to the end time, you may not able to create all the test cases. So in such situations, test scenarios will be understood properly, and based on that it will be tested. Most of time it's helpful when bug reporting and just need to give reference ID of that. So for a huge project where a group of people know specific modules only, these activities gives chance to everyone. Yes. Now most of the time when you are finding out the defects and all, these test cases are important, and this is important when you are understanding about the modules and the brief discussion on those. This is a foolproof test case document. It is like a lifeline to new tester. So this test case are going to be very helpful for the tester because in a detail all details about that particular function or a module component will be designed here before testing. Good test coverage, exactly what you are testing will be understood in that test scenarios so that it reduces repeatability and complexity of product. Scenario testing. There are two methods of scenario testing: system scenarios and use case scenarios. It is also called as role-based scenarios. Now, development of system scenario can be done using. Now, let us understand first system scenario. So, system scenario is like understanding exactly how you can find out what you are going to test, what scenarios you are going to test. So, to find out that, you are going to analyze the system. You need to analyze the system. So, storylines is one of the way to analyze the system and find out the test scenarios. So it is a hypothetical stories to help the tester work through a complex problem or test system. So the storylines or hypothetical stories help the testers. So whenever the testers hear the story of that particular problem or the function, then we can able to understand it, and we can able to track exactly where is the error or which part we need to test. State transitions. State transitions are nothing but how the system changes from one state to another state. That will be understood. So how many types of transitions comes in that? Business vertical. So you want to figure out real world scenarios and design test scenarios. To find out test scenarios, you are going to understand how really that system is going to work in the real environment. So for example, take in a bank, if you want to open the account, so you need all your details, you need the document proof and your various details. So these all things are needed, and in some cases you may don't have all the documents. Then in such cases, what has to be done, how the system should act, what is the solution on that. So such problems will be understood, real examples will be understood. Story from customers. So testers take assistance from clients and stakeholders. As to understand any system or problems, the customers are also play very important. So take an example, if you're testing the bank application, you can take the feedback from the customers of the bank, what problems they are facing, how the system is working, how much time it is taking to respond. These all things. Battleground. Create some scenario to justify the product works, and some similar scenarios to try and break the system and to justify the product does not work. So some scenarios you are going to analyze and you are going to create and check out whether the product works. Some scenarios also you are going to create and check out to break the system, that in case the invalid input is supplied, how the system is going to work. Test cases are derived from test scenarios. See, high level scenarios are like login functionality, and low level scenarios are like, again, many low level scenarios will come here to check the application is launching, to check text contents on login page, to check the user name field, password field, login button, cancel button. So all these contents are there or no on the login functionality. This is an example of system test scenarios for an e-commerce site. So how to identify the test scenario, system test scenarios for an e-commerce site, we'll see. See now, these are the test scenarios. Site launches properly, user can register or log in, So the products available. So these scenarios have to be tested, whether the site is launching properly or no, whether the user is able to register or no, whether the products are available, user can see or no, can the user add products to his cart, can do payment, can user get confirmation through email or SMS, functionalities like can user perform searching, filtering, sorting, adding, changing, list, etc. Can the user, number of users can access the site simultaneously, whether the site launches properly in all major browsers, whether the site launches properly on all supported platforms like Windows, Linux, etc., whether the content of pages are properly aligned, well managed, and without spelling mistakes. User manual, guide, written policy, privacy policy, and terms of using the site is available. So these are the system test scenario, overall system test scenarios you need to identify, and based on these test scenarios, later on you can now design the test cases. Now next type of scenario testing is use case scenarios. A use case scenario is a stepwise procedure on how a user intends to use a system with different user roles and associated parameters. So you're going to understand the test scenarios from user's point of view. That means who is going to use your system? How many roles of users are going to use the system? Like if you design the bank application, then the accountant is going to use the system, then various officers there, they are going to use the system, various responsibilities are assigned to various users, and they're going to use the system in different ways. So how the system is going to react in for different users, that test scenarios will be understood here according to users. A use case scenario can include stories, pictures, and deployment details. Okay, to understand use case scenarios from user's point of view, you can also include the stories, pictures, and deployment details from the client as well as the persons who are working there. Use cases are useful for explaining customer problems and how the software can solve those. A use case involves several roles. So let us understand this with an example. Now suppose a person comes in the bank, that is actor we call, and he deposits the check. He wants to deposit the check, so he gives it to the officer, that is agent. Then the agent checks out that and makes the entry in the system. Then the system is going to respond, and all data will be stored in this system, and the response will be given from the system like stored successfully, check deposited successfully, such messages, and the cash will be given to the user. So the different type of users comes. So one user has come for depositing the check, another user comes for opening the account, another user comes for DD, another user comes for withdrawal of cash. So based on the users, you need to understand the scenarios. So take another example. This is the actor user who is going to use the system and the system response. This is what the system is going to respond based on different users. See, the user would like to withdraw cash and insert the card in ATM machine. Then how the system reacts? Okay, whenever the user inserts the card in the ATM machine, it requests for password or PIN. Then user fill in password. Then user is going to fill the password. Then the system is going to verify the password whether it is correct or no. Then give a list containing types of account. If it is valid, then it is going to display a list of accounts. Then based on that, the user is going to select account type. Then how the system, what is the next step of the system? Ask the user for amount. Then the next step for the user is going to fill in the amount of cash required. Then next step of the system is check availability of funds, account balance, prepare receipt, dispense cash. So any one of the user has to select the options. Then user can retrieve cash from ATM and system is going to print the receipt. So this is how, based on the users input, different users input, system is going to respond. So these all test scenarios will be understood here from the user's point of view. So what type of users are going to use the system, based on that the test case scenarios will be identified.